Now, let me just say first and foremost that I generally enjoyed season 2 for what it was. Okay, that would be a huge lie. I honestly will just say it, and this is not an April Fool's gig. I didn't like this season a lot. Mostly, it's not because of the episodes, except for one, which I will get into. It's because the pacing was rushed and too fast for me. Like a lot of the episodes seem to have went on way faster than it should have. Some episodes should have taken a lot longer to go through. Characters should have been more developed, and I didn't like it. Like there were several episodes that I thought, what was the point of that? And there was one episode that went, wait, what? And then there's another episode like, wow, way to destroy one of your centerpieces of the show within the second season. I am, of course, talking about Star Wars Rebels Season 2. And, man. It started out strong, like the Siege of Lothal. It was like that was a great episode to me, and the season 2 finale was great for me. Um, but in between that, there were episodes that I kept questioning, and why is the pacing going so fast? Why is Disney Disneyfying everything and making it suitable for 7-year-olds since that's their rating? Whereas Clone Wars, they went darker and went above the Call of Duty to show disturbing visuals and haunting imagery at times, and some were censored, but for reasons I'll never understand. But like yeah, like okay, like there okay, like the clone episodes where we see Captain Rex again. Okay, when Rex explained why the clones no longer work for the Emperor, he said it, and I thought that was the stupidest reason in history of Star Wars, and it makes exposition that makes the prequels look promising. Where he says the Emperor thought all the clone troopers have outlived their usefulness and fired all of them. Are you effing kidding me? Like, you mean to tell me that the clone troopers, who are bred to fight and die for your cause, and in the expanded universe at least, Mandalorian fighters are trained to kill and are very good at what they do, and considering how the stormtroopers are, why did you fire them again? Nope, never explained. And it makes the Emperor look from this cunning military tactician, psychological warfare genius into an idiot. Like, is Disney really trying to destroy everything the prequels was and trying to create their own imagery, which was basically Disneyfying everything and making it look, oh, villains aren't evil and aren't smart, they're very dumb. And, like, I felt insulted by that episode. Like, okay, I'm not letting this go. Like, in the expanded universe, I said this in my Captain Phasma video, I believe it was, where the Emperor had a reason why he didn't use the clone troopers of the old Republic. It's because he feared that they would have a rebellion after the Kamino rebellion happened, and he feared that due to what happened, due to brother fighting brother, he feared more rebellions would happen. So he decided to lessen the Mandalorian clones and bring in new clones and draft soldiers, not just fire them outright. He just went ahead and said, "Okay, I'm keeping you on board, but we're going to diversify the Empire a bit. You see, I don't want to cause rebellions anymore." And, like, that was a good reason. It was explained in Battlefront 2. Nope, Disney says that's complex. Get rid of that. And that really insulted my intelligence, like WWE level insulting my intelligence. Okay, and then there's the stupidest episode, I thought, was when the Ghost Crew needed to get refueled and they had to steal fuel from the Empire for the consecutive 800th time, and like, Oh, oh my god. Giant space whales are the reason for hyperspace. You know, I thought hyperspace was this trans-dimensional vortex and was a gateway to endless possibilities, possible universes of exploratory means, as a way to see the galaxy, as a way to see this. Nope, it's giant space whales. This is stupid. this is this is really stupid. That was the worst episode of Rebels I've ever seen. It was pointless. It served no plot to the story. It served no character development. It just space whales. Because all that interpretation thing, all that thinking that children can't do, oh, that's too tough for children. We need to we need to lessen the brain functions and whatnot. But yeah, that's Disney's mentality on this right now. Like, what? And then there's the WTF moment where, okay, remember how in season one Ezra keeps explaining, oh, my parents are got missing, they might be dead, they might be alive, we don't know. And you got gripped on that, like you want to see Ezra's parents meet up again, or maybe they want to know what they happened. It's all explained through exposition. This guy who no one knows, never met before, never seen before, and most likely will never see again, explains that there was a breakout, Ezra's parents were killed in the process, and that was very underwhelming. Like, you hyped up this thing since the beginning of the show, and you do nothing with it other than exposition. Yeah. And this also contradicts the trailers that they showed where the guy says, Ezra, your parents, they escaped. That contradicts that and also says, you lied. The market lied. And they did that with the season finale, like the whole Ezra choking the seventh sister. That was a huge lie. It was really Darth Maul that did that. And remember in the trailer, Sabine, it looks like she's going to get a bigger role and a bigger moment in Rebels. It lasted 2 episodes. One episode in between several other episodes. There was no arc, there was no storyline. It was just 2 episodes, and they felt extremely rushed. Specifically when she meets her old friend Katsu. I think that's what it's pronounced. I think that's her name, pronounced right. Katsu leads her for dead in the past. They were both bounty hunters. They escaped the Imperial Academy, became bounty hunters, and Katsu leads her for dead. Now, all this big build-up, like, yeah, this is going to lead to a confrontation for a bit. And when I saw this, I was like, okay, are they going to make up? Yeah, they're going to make up. Now, here was the thing. If I still have that Clone Wars series mentality where they drew out episode pacing and made the pacing slower enough for us to gravitate, to understand what's going on, to get a feel of everything that's happening. Whereas now this was rushed and not really heavily explained and not really shown as much. But considering that you were left for dead, Sabine, your best friend at one point, who you consider a sister, leaves you for dead for some other reason, and is contemplating collecting a bounty on your head. And this is pretty much how it ends. Katsu, can you help me? Okay. What? Sabine asks Katsu for help and she agrees, and they're suddenly best friends again? Wait, she's now on the Rebel team? She appears in a cameo episode? Oh! Oh! Why? This looked like to be a big deal. Never shown, never fully developed. It's all rushed. Especially the villain to hero turnaround. Like, that was really, really, really rushed. And I'll get to the season finale in a sec, but, so let's see. I talked about this. I talked about Sabine and her two falsely advertised episodes that were very rushed. Well, the second episode, it looks like Sabine wants revenge. I would say, okay, 3 episodes. Nope, 1 episode. That really, you're starting to piss me off. And especially how Sabine just decides not to go through with revenge for Hera. Like, I thought there would be conflict and whatnot and tension. And then we get to, like, the Lazarz. I thought that would last 2 episodes. It lasts 1 episode, and there's a Deus Ex Machina moment that is never explained, and I'm trying to wonder, how did that happen? Please explain to me, how did that happen? Why didn't they do that before? Because that would have helped a lot. And then there's the homecoming episode where Cham Syndulla and Hera Syndulla meet up for the first time in numbers of years. And I would speculate, okay, if this was Clone Wars, this would last like a couple of episodes, not 3, but maybe more, to develop this and show the tension, the hostility of them working together, and then we would go ahead and patch things up, like maybe a heartwarming moment, maybe Cham Syndulla dies, maybe. Nope, perfectly fine. 1 episode, gives a chance, that's it. Oh, and they reconcile at the end. And I'm like, okay, I'm glad you reconciled, but 1 episode, really? You had a chance to milk this for all it's worth and you did nothing. Oh, but no, that girl from Clone Wars, the little girl who keeps saying Nanu, who also means brother, yeah, she's up in this episode, so I guess that's alright. And some people at the time consider this to be the best episode. Like, okay, I'm all for your opinions. I'm all for your opinions, but really? The best episode at the time? And Hera speaking in a somewhat French accent way sounded like, according to one guy on fanfiction.net I spoke with. Um, when I first saw that, I was like, did Disney not catch that microphone change of voice? Because if this was planned, that would kind of not make sense, since I don't recall back in Clone Wars when Cham Syndulla spoke in a different accent. He always spoke the same way. But according to David Davis on fanfiction.net, who writes the Order Redeems fanfiction, told me, oh, the Twikes have a French accent from time to time. And I'm like, I never noticed that. So at the time, I was like wondering, did Disney just say F it and just did whatever they wanted? And like, okay. And then I told you about the WTF episode, the Purgle, aka the giant space whales, able to go into hyperspace. You know, something that was, for as far as my mind is reconciliating with all this information from the expanded universe, was never shown, never explained, never told to us. It was just left open to interpretation of what hyperspace was, not giant space whales. And speaking of that, why did the Purgle sound like ships when they went into hyperspace? Like, didn't Disney stop for 1 minute and said, okay, yeah, that sound effect's stupid. Go with something natural sounding. No? Okay. And just gave up afterwards. And then, like, even further, then they go to the Honorable Ones episode, and, like, there's Imperial activity on Geonosis, and they kill off all the Geonosians off screen through exposition, through the Force, pretty much, because of a giant weapon. Like I looked it up. Like, oh, this is explained to the books better, or like they left them sterile and they died out. But like, your target audience is children who are not going to understand this, who probably don't read the books. Shouldn't it have been alright to just tell them that, yeah, we killed the Geonosians off? And like, and I was like, when I first heard they were going to Geonosis, I was like, "Oh, wait, now I get it. Oh, this is gonna be interesting." Agent Callus and Zeb are gonna have to work together. Maybe have to deal with those worm creatures again. The Queen, a new Queen, and the Empire's trying to look for them while the rebels are looking for them. Nope, they're on a moon. A moon that's, well, yeah. Wait, did they ever mention there was a moon? I'm pretty sure they mentioned it in the books at least, but that was the old EU. Uh, I don't think they ever mentioned a moon back in the Clone Wars series. Like, yeah, every planet has a moon, I think. Well, some do, some don't. Um, but wait, why didn't the Empire detect Agent Callus's position? Well, not well. They had a reason for that, so I won't complain about that. But why didn't the Empire go to that ice moon and investigate there and wipe out the species there if they are busy wiping out life on Geonosis? And yeah, and this also was a big middle finger to me about the Geonosians regarding them, since I love the episode where in Geonosis when the arc's not over after the big battle and to destroy the droid factory, it turns out the arc's not over yet. There's still the underground queen and her minions, and I was like, yeah, this is actually kind of scary. Like the atmosphere, the tension, you're looking for Pago the Lesser, and it turns out you have these brain worms infecting your head and driving you nuts. Like, yeah, this is actually kind of cool. And in this one, they just say, boom, kill them all off. Oh, and it turns out Callus isn't straight up a villain. He respects the Lazarz, and he disliked them because they wiped out one of his squadrons, and he was against the extermination of the Lazarz. And okay, like it looked like it was gonna be that shade of gray type area, but then at the end of the episode, they kind of effed it all up when they make the Empire cold, evil, El Diablo. Anything Empire is evil. Because apparently children are this dumb to Disney. Like, I get, but I'm a hardcore Star Wars fan. I get it's not my target audience. I'm not the target audience, but I expect more adult themes. Like this is the same network that had Gravity Falls, which focused on adult subject matters and more darker themes. You really can't do this with Rebels. And then we get to Shroud of Darkness. Okay, there was a lot of things. There was several plot holes that need to be explained. Like, why did the Grand Inquisitor was a Grand Temple guard this whole time? Oh, the producers explained to it in an interview. Yeah, I read the interview. I was like, couldn't they have explained that in the episode? Not just do that out of nowhere? Like, I get they were in a rush and whatnot. And here's the thing. At one point, I really was a huge fan of Yoda. The small underdog who had the small little guy who can do these impossible things and the power of the Force. And then as the years went by, I started not liking him. Not because of what they did to him in the prequels, it's more like what he was becoming as we later learned. Like the prequels explored that at one point he wasn't this happy go lucky, friendly whatever species he is. It was never shown in the expanded universe either, and they're definitely most likely never going to explain it here, unless they do a sudden change of Yoda's name like they did with Palpatine. Really, Sheev? I don't like. No one called him that. So, like, Yoda admits. Please know, he admits the Jedi were corrupted. He admits to this. And I was pissed off at season 6 of Clone Wars because from all the things from the last few episodes, when Yoda was on his retreat and looking through the Force to achieve immortality, you know, something that a Sith would be obsessed about, but turns out, oh no, the Jedi can look for immortality as well. It's different. By the way, I'm giving the middle finger to Yoda here. Um, why is it that Yoda is given visions of Order 66, the Jedi being slaughtered, and also probably knowing who Palpatine is? They kind of hint to that, and Yoda did nothing with it, with this information. Like he didn't explore this, he didn't investigate this. He just said, "I'm going to wait around here. Wait, I must. Let the Jedi fall. I will." And I'm wondering, I don't like you, Yoda. I was a huge fan of you, but I don't like you anymore. Like, and Yoda has the balls to admit the Jedi were corrupted this whole time, when he himself is corrupted. And then he tells Ezra to find Malachor, and I didn't like the design they made for Yoda. It looked like they were trying to make him older, but it failed miserably. Like, why couldn't you, like, use the model from Clone Wars and make it look older instead of looking like a deformed version of E.T., if that was even possible? Like, it looked so awkward. Like if I zoomed in closer, I could, like, see, why does that face look like E.T.? Where are his teeth? Why can't you make him look more like the puppet from Empire Strikes Back? Like, that would have worked. I get you're trying to make him look older, but why are you making him look like this? Look like E.T. Look like the alien from E.T. Nope, never explained, but I don't expect it to explain it. In fact, I was expecting Ezra to just say, "Wow, you look ugly." I would not have complained about that. Like, ultimate disrespect there. Yeah, I'm totally getting Ezra points for this. Kanan is fighting the Grand Temple Guards, and it's just one question. Why do one of them have a red lightsaber? Weren't red always associated with the Sith? Never explained. In fact, me and my friends were talking about this, and I looked on YouTube, and someone theorized, oh, maybe it's the Fallen Knights. Maybe they're the Fallen Knights, and I was hoping that was true. It would explain why they have a Sith lightsaber, but turns out it's not. So, yeah. Kanan becomes a Jedi Knight. Yoda tells Ezra to find Malachor, and Ahsoka faces the guilt over not being present during the fall of the Jedi while accepting that her former master is Darth Vader. And I didn't like Anakin's model. It looked too innocent to me. Like, really? The guy looks too innocent. And the Republic symbol on his armor plating, like, okay, yeah, you're basically saying this is what it was like before, and look what it is now. Look what everything's at now. And then we get the Forgotten Droid. Now, okay, I wasn't going to complain about this being a filler episode, but oh, and I'll get to a theory I have for Yoda in a bit. This ultimately shows my dislike for him. But there is a moment where Chopper gets left behind, and I was expecting the Forgotten Droid to last, oh, maybe 3 episodes, like they did it with R2-D2 and C-3PO, and that was charming. But this wasn't. This just felt rushed again. And they were trying to capture the C-3PO and R2-D2 magic. It didn't work here since they used the Imperial droid, who somehow managed to resist the restraint bolt on him in less than 3 minutes after his first attempt. Are you effing kidding me? That quick. And then I thought the mystery of Chopper Base was going to be a place where it involves Chopper. Nope. And Well, like Kanan and Hera share a moment where it basically screams, "Just make out already," and everyone keeps pointing out, "This is a young Seven show. They're not going to do kissing." And I'm like, really? Like everyone wants to see them kiss. Why not just give them that? And it was just filler episode. They were just okay. We need to fill out the 22 episodes mark. So let's just do this. And Rex is captured, but oh, let's forget about the woman. Hold on. Sorry, I had to do something in this recording. As I was saying, this Trio Chopper Base was mostly filler episode. Rex is captured, but oh, what about the woman pilot? She's never seen again. Like they don't even pass over concern; they just forget about her. And Ezra doesn't have a moment like they should have done, but Hera and Kanan do. Ahsoka, I like part of me was thinking, please have Lux Bonteri show up in this episode. Nope, he never does. Like I was hoping that he would show up in a hologram for Ahsoka, and then they do this moment, and then we get to the season finale. I had low expectations because one, Ezra and Kanan were most likely going to survive, and I assumed they had already hinted and all but confirmed Ahsoka was going to die. And I don't recall them mentioning Chopper was coming with them. Huh. Anyways, they find dead Sith and Jedi, a big battlefield, Malachor. It kind of looks like the war-torn planet like Malachor 5 from Star Wars, the Old Republic era. Those were the good days. Revan. We had Revan, Malak, the Mandalorian Wars. You know, a conflict that really could benefit the Jedi-Mandalorian relationship and show further tension in history. Nah. Okay, and Darth Maul shows up in this episode. Why? How did he get there? Why is he there? Why didn't the Emperor kill him? Never explained after he was cast aside. He's just there, somehow surviving. And and Ahsoka, Vader finally battle. This was the big epic confrontation. It was great, but I was dreading that they're gonna do some horrible moment, that sad moment that was gonna get Ahsoka killed. And Kanan is blinded, and it's Maul's fault. Ezra trusted Maul for God knows what reason. And like, yeah, I understand where he's coming from, but really? You're gonna blind Kanan? Like, you used to be better than this, Maul. You killed Qui-Gon Jinn without any effort. And like, you did put a lot of effort in here, but it looked like you did it without breaking a sweat. But no, you're old and frail, even though you look like you're still in your prime. Really, they should have made his design a little more older to give that vibe, instead of just looking like an old man and walking like an old man, and then suddenly saying, "Oh, I'm in my prime." And Ezra's lightsaber is destroyed. There goes the innovating gun one. And then they're gonna fight. And Ezra, Kanan, and Chopper escape. Ahsoka stays behind. And when Vader calls her out by Ahsoka's name, and here's a moment that I thought could have been great. When she says, "I won't leave you behind, not this time," Anakin's eye that we saw should have flickered between gold and blue, his old eye color. Like that would have shown conflict and start planting the seeds for his eventual redemption. But they didn't do that, and just goes ahead and says, "You will die." And I looked it up. I tried to figure out why didn't they do that. And Dave Foley, I'm pretty sure I pronounced that last name wrong. Dave said, "Oh, he sees Ahsoka as his past and wants to destroy it." And I'm thinking, that is the weakest answer in history. That rivals the clone troopers have outlived their usefulness, even though the stormtroopers are really much worse and haven't gotten the job done whatsoever. And and like, You did that in The Force Awakens between Kylo Ren and Han Solo, and Han Solo was his past, yet Kylo Ren is still conflicted. Like, wouldn't Vader have cared to at least know that despite all of his atrocities, there's still people that care about him? That still see something in him despite his crimes? No, really? Sad. That wasted opportunity there. Ahsoka most likely survives. I want to stress that. Like, they say she might not be alive, but we see her walking further into the temple after Vader leaves as the apparent victor, albeit wounded. So Ahsoka got some good shots at him. Kind of shows how far she's grown. And, like, Ahsoka looks like she survived. She walks further down the temple, and it didn't look like a ghost. And as Ezra is showing signs that he's beginning to fall to the dark side. Okay. Really think about what happened in this episode. Ezra, Kanan, Chopper, well, you can cut Chopper out, and Ahsoka arrive on Malachor, a place that Yoda specifically told him to go to. And let's see the results. Ahsoka is now trapped on the planet, and she hopefully might appear in episode 8 if Luke and Rey go to Malachor to investigate Kylo Ren and see how he fell to the dark side. And we might see Ahsoka in there, and that would be awesome. Like, if Maul could survive being on Malachor, I'm pretty sure Ahsoka can too. She's resourceful. So, like, really think about this. Ezra's beginning to fall to the dark side. Kanan is blind. Ahsoka is on Malachor trapped. Maul escaped. Yeah, by the way, he took an Inquisitor TIE fighter after Maul killed all 3 of the Inquisitors, pretty much. Like, one Inquisitor escaped, but then fell to his apparent death, and that character was never explained. I think they called him the 8th brother, but his character was never explored like the others. Well, really, the other 2 Inquisitors weren't really explored further, but they were shown more screen time. And the 8th brother came out of nowhere. So, here's my really stretching the brain theory. Who's to say Yoda planned this? Really think about it. The Jedi were corrupted at this point. Yoda admits that. But who's to say he was lying because he himself was corrupted as well at this point? Like, he had things that led to the Jedi Order's destruction, but he can never bring himself to admit that. And the other part is, Ezra is always defying the Jedi Code and not really going by its principles, even though he hasn't been taught it, but he's pretty much showing example of it. Kanan has broken the attachment rule by being in a relationship with Hera, because it's all but confirmed at this point. And Ahsoka, she was the only one that had half a brain and had more defiance in her. And let's say, and considering that Yoda was able to contact Ezra through the Force twice, Yoda may have been able to see what was happening outside the galaxy during his exile on Dagobah. Who's to say, and this is really stretching it, he wanted them all to die. He wanted to get rid of Ezra, Kanan, Ahsoka, Vader, and as an added bonus, the Inquisitors and Maul. Who's to say he didn't know about that? Like, he would look at Ezra, Kanan, and Ahsoka and Anakin as failures, and he wants to restore the new Jedi Order under the vision that the old Order had by corrupting Luke in Episode 5, because he might have been lying about that whole mischievous side he was having during his exile, that he could have been lying the whole time. Who's to say he was trying to kill all 4 of them and the rest because he didn't want Luke to get corrupted by their teachings later down the road? He knew about Luke. He saw him as a potential replacement for him. And Ezra, Kanan, and Ahsoka could influence Luke to think his own decisions and not follow the Jedi code. Who's to say Yoda had wanted to get rid of them? Kill all the birds with one stone. This is a very, very stretchable theory that really stretches the brain to make you think. Like, you've seen my 3-part video talking about how the Jedi Order was corrupted. With my friends, I talked about it. So who's to say he was trying to kill all of them? Because, say this theory proves to be true, that would make Yoda just as vile as Palpatine. That really would say something. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I actually hope this theory is true. Because this would explain so much. Like, why was he always not having fun? Why he didn't laugh as much? Why didn't he make jokes from time to time? And like he did in episode 5. How did he somehow become this jovial during his time in isolation? Like, he probably went insane. Someone can make that argument. Because he hasn't been in contact with anyone. But they've clearly established he can be in contact with anybody. And he could have been in contact with Qui-Gon Jinn during his time as a Force Spirit. So, who's to say this theory is true? Yoda plotted all this, had this all laid out, tried to kill all of them with one stone, get rid of all the problems, then he could somehow take Luke, because he'll have Obi-Wan as his puppet, seduce him into this lie of the Jedi, and turn him into his ultimate puppet to rebuild the Order in his own image. That certainly is a theory I'm willing to believe. So, those are my thoughts on Season 2. It was okay, it felt rushed, the characters weren't fully developed in my viewpoint, the season finale was great, and the beginning of the season was great, but everything just felt rushed. A lot of hype was deflated due to the episodes, and certain big events they were building up to were horribly mismanaged. So, yeah. And I gotta give more credit to George Lucas. Like, he managed to put in so much material, a total of 6 seasons, into the Clone Wars, back when it was still part of the expanded universe. He managed to put in so much material, despite all this big pile of expanded universe lore. That's really saying something. But Rebels is trying to establish its own continuity, but it looks like it's relying on the old continuity, and like, why didn't you just revive it? Why don't you just bring it back if you're trying to fit in all the continuity from the old expanded universe into Rebels? In fact, why not ask George Lucas for help? I'm sure he would love to help out. Maybe you could have him as a consultant, or have him oversee the storyline so he can go ahead and give advice of what's good and what's bad, and tell you, oh, well, maybe you should let this episode drag out a bit more, because that really is needed. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on Season 2 of Rebels, and my big theory on Yoda, and possibly his reasons of insanity, and lust for ideology. And let me just point out one more thing. The Prophet of Truth from Halo did the exact same thing. Manipulated all sides to fight each other so he can basically take over the galaxy. He tried that and he failed. So who's to say they did that with Yoda? And like, history has also shown that religious prophets have lied to their followers to get them all killed. So who's to say that's not true? That's the same case for Yoda. Well, everyone, this was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate, and stay tuned for more.